so much for sticking with the Weekend Express. We are within our last 1 hour of the show, but as I promised, it's our conversation. You get to meet two amazing young Africans who are doing extraordinary work within their society. So allow me to introduce my panel. Of course, today closer to me, I have Nasrin Daji. She is a facilitator with Yali. That's the Young African Leaders Initiative. And at the center of it, we have Nicholas Ongolo. He is also one of the Yali participants. And on my far left, I have Kolis Dimwana, right? And she is also a Yali participant from Burundi. It's so good to have both of you here with us in studio, all of you. Nasrin, perhaps we can just begin with the foundation of it for our viewers. What is the Young African Leaders Initiative, Yali?
So the goal of Yali is to equip young leaders with skills to be effective leaders. And the program consists of 3 tracks. So we have participants in the business and entrepreneurship track, we have participants in the public management track, and participants in the civic leadership track.
Right.
And the entire goal is to really equip young people with the skills to be effective leaders.
All right, and what is young leaders? Because when we say young leaders and within the African continent, we sort of consider youth between the ages of 18 to 35. Is that what we consider young, even under the fellowship program?
Yes. Under the fellowship program, young people between the ages of 18 and 35 are the ones who are admitted into the program. So that's the definition of youth, 18 to 35.
18 to 35. Yeah. All right. So, Nicholas, how did you find yourself under the Yali fellowship?
Okay, under the Yali fellowship, we applied. I personally applied.
Right.
When I came across an advert inviting applicants to join the Cohort 28 fellowship. So I applied, and based on my credentials as a youth leader at Homa Bay County, I was selected to be among the Cohort 28 participants.
Right. So what do you do at Homa Bay? Take us through your story.
Okay, at Homa Bay, I'm a youth leader. I represent an organization called Youth Governors Kenya as the youth governor of Homa Bay County. And I've also been a student at Moi University. I finished in August 2018. I was taking economics. And back at the university, I've been working with youth organizations. I've served in several organizations. And when I came back to Homa Bay, I decided to venture into youth agenda. So I advocate for youth issues, integration of youth in county management, the issues of youth internship, and other issues such as youth enterprise development.
Right.
Yes.
And your slogan is Kenya must succeed.
Exactly.
Tell me more about it.
Okay, it's said that for Kenya to succeed, we need to have good qualities of leadership. And this is what Yali is trying to inculcate in us. So basically, to me, in my own understanding, we have not reached the level where we should be as a country. And it's very important for us to venture into programs that can be able to develop our own communities, and that will translate to national development as a whole.
Right.
Yes.
All right. So, Kolis, you're from Burundi.
Yes.
Tell me a little bit about what you do. What's your story? How did you find yourself in Yali?
Okay, so in my country, Burundi, in my community, I have identified that many young girls are dropping out of school, getting unwanted pregnancy, just because they don't get information, they don't get knowledge, they don't get to know many things about their sexual education. So I have identified that there's a gap between a parent and the child. They don't communicate. A mother doesn't take time to explain to her daughter what is sexuality. So a girl tried to go out to look for information by herself. And from that, she gets wrong information. She goes to Google, she's influenced by her friends, and from that she got into mistakes and she dropped school.
Right.
So from that I have decided to take action and to start advocating for those girls, and then to start reach to them and talk to them, and then give them that information, that knowledge that they like. So I reach to them through NGOs. We go to the schools, to high schools, and then we talk to girls. We give them knowledge about sexual and reproductive health. We encourage them. We give them inspiration through the talks and education.
Beautiful. And you can see that it's having an impact to the girls.
It is. Some of the girls now are in universities. They are doing good. They are taking courses like leadership courses in Burundi, and it's really changing the situation.
And you're in university yourself, doing medical?
I am in university, and I'm doing medicine. I am a doctor to be in 1 year.
So how do you balance that? How do you balance between your community work, which you're doing and requires you to be on the ground, and being a medicine student?
Actually, I started doing, being involved in those action when I am at school.
Right.
So when I go back home in holidays, that's why I do those projects and those events with my friends, and then we plan for it, and then we do it.
What's your end goal? What is that one vision you'd want to achieve, that you can see that I think I've done good, that you can pat yourself at the back and say, I have contributed, I've done my part in society?
My end goal is to see women in leadership position in Burundi. My dream is to see young girls or young women getting to be involved in what's happening in Burundi and giving contribution so that Burundi can be a better country, and then to see them taking good jobs and then contributing to the development of their families, not just going into families and then staying there as if the husband is the one to provide.
Right,
that's my
right.
dream.
So for you, it's women in leadership in Burundi.
Yes.
All right, Nicholas, for you, what's that one goal you want to achieve for you?
Okay, personally, I've been advocating for the youth agenda, and my goal in life is to ensure that as a country we eliminate the aspect of biasness in terms of age. I would wish to see a scenario where a young person, whether he is 22 years old or 30 years old, is able to perform same leadership skills as people above 35 years. So basically what I'm focusing on right now is to ensure that in terms of public service, we reduce the number of years required for experience.
And public service, you mean like political seats?
Political seats, the seats, other seats that are appointed maybe by the President or the Public Service Commission.
Right.
Yes.
Right. Okay, so Nazreen, how does the fellowship go to choose, to pick? What's the criteria of picking? Because I'm sure there are a lot of young people on the African continent who are doing amazing things. So what is the criteria that Yali uses to choose its participants?
I think one of the criteria is looking at youth like the two we have here, who are really making positive impact in their community.
Right.
I think that's sort of the hallmark of leadership, is the ability to make positive change and to have that kind of drive and passion to make it happen. So that's, I think, one of the primary criteria to enter the program.
And once they do enter the program, take me through it. What happens?
Yeah.
How do you mold them to becoming even better leaders?
Right. So the program is structured, it's a four-week program. The first week is really structured around team building. Part of being an effective leader is the ability to work as part of a team. And they get some foundations of leadership. The second week of the program is really sort of cross-cutting topics. We teach them human-centered design. There's a course on This is Africa that really has them speak about the kinds of challenges that we face in our different countries. We have participants from 14 different countries that come to this program. So they get the chance to sit down and really talk about the kinds of challenges that they face in each of the countries that they come from. And then we have a course on 7 habits of highly effective people. And this is really sort of equipping them with the personal skills that they need to be personally effective in being a leader. The third week of the program is when then they get into their individual tracks.
Right.
So those who are doing business and entrepreneurship will go into that track, and then we have the public management track and the civic leadership track. And when they are in the third week of this program, they're really learning the skills that are pertinent to their particular area. So whether it's public management or civic leadership or business, they get some core components in those specific areas. They are also expected to work on a project, a real-life project with organizations. So they're given a challenge to work on. And part of the program entails applying the skills that they are learning in the program to solve these problems and these challenges for these various organizations.
Right.
And in the fourth week, they do a course on leadership communications, which is really to build up their communication skills. And then they get to pitch back the solutions that they have developed back to these client organizations.
Right. All right. So for you, Nicholas, how are you finding the fellowship? How has it changed or molded you to becoming a better leader?
Okay. Thank you. The session is very interactive and experiential, and as an individual I would say that I've really been transformed. It has actually enhanced how I perceive situations. And in terms of issues of diversity, I've been able to find a better platform to understand how I should be able to handle other people who believe in things that I personally don't believe in.
Right.
Yes, to me, the training has taught me that in everything that we do, humanity should come first.
Wow.
If somebody has or believes in some values that you personally don't believe in, you have the option of respecting their stand or their position. And also in terms of 7 habits of highly effective people, there are some things that personally as a youth leader I've been doing without information necessary to guide me in terms of leading the people. So I've been able to understand the process of leadership, the foundation itself, how I can be able to come up with the solution to solve critical issues affecting the community.
Right. So like, it's okay to disagree. It's okay to disagree.
Yes.
Okay. So for you, Collis, what has this fellowship done for you? Has it empowered and helped you become a better leader?
Yes. Actually, this fellowship is very transformational for me. As they say, Yali is transforming lives. So for me, first I got to meet other people from different countries. I get to know different cultures, and what they teach us in Yali is, yes, we all meet challenges in our country, and we all want to make an impact. We have that will of making impact, but we have first to start by identifying the right problem so that you can come up with the right solution. So in Yali, they mold us to be creative, to be innovative. Not that we don't have to come up with those solutions which already exist. We have to identify those existing solutions and then come up with creative ones.
Solutions.
Right. So that's what they do for us. And another thing is that they make us feel, as you are a very young leader, they make us feel like we have power. We have to change things in our countries. So that's Yali.
That you're the one who has the power with all of that.
Yes.
Okay, so Nazri, here you are. You have amazing participants like this too. They come, they go through the fellowships, they pitch their solutions, as you said.
Yeah.
Then what happens after those 4 weeks?
Yeah.
What comes next?
Yeah. So what comes next is, the hope obviously is that they will take the skills and apply them to execute better the initiatives that they have already embarked on. Sometimes what we find, what happens in the program is the ideas that are developed there, they actually take them away and build on them. We've had people who go through, for example, the course on human-centered design, and they come up with very, very innovative solutions to solve some key issues that we face here among the youth. And there have been many participants who have, after the program, gone ahead and actually implemented these ideas that they had come up with during the program.
Yeah. All right. So, Nicholas, for you, perhaps I'd love to hear from both of you with what your vision for Africa is, right? And when I say for Africa, I just don't mean as individual countries, but where you want to see Africa go to, given the fact that majority of the population on the African continent, 60%, if I'm not wrong, is comprised of young people. We are the ones who are now in charge of this continent. The burden and the responsibility lies with us. So for you, Nicholas, what is your vision? Where would you want to see the African continent aspire to get?
Okay, as a continent, there are things that hold us back. And I believe there are certain narratives, there are very negative narratives about Africa. And it's up to us as young leaders to correct this. So my vision for Africa is to see an Africa that is industrious, prosperous, united, and peaceful. And we can only do this when we as a continent or as African young leaders, we come together, address issues that concern our communities, and then we also undergo these trainings to prepare us for various leadership opportunities that we have as at now. So for Africa to develop, we've got to eliminate certain vices that take place in our continent. Like, for instance, I would say there are some cultural beliefs and practices that are really holding us back. The issues of gender parity still hold us back as a country and as a continent. These are things that we really need to address as young people. And there's, in terms of economic development as well, we've not done so well as a continent. So we need to focus on these areas so as to realize change and development in our continent.
All right. So I'm going to come back to you, and you're going to have to give me a solution for one of those things. I'm glad you said unity, and I think that one thing that affects unity on the African continent, especially if we are being honest with ourselves as Africans, is the issue of xenophobia, right, amongst ourselves. So, and you've mentioned that unity is one of the things that you'd want to see being achieved on the African continent if we were to work together. So I'll come back to you, and you'll have to tell me perhaps a solution that we can do as a continent, as young people, when it comes to giving solutions to xenophobia. So, Collis, for you, perhaps, what is that one thing that you envision Africa to be? How do you see your Africa?
So when I'm picturing Africa, I see an Africa which has peace, where we can live peacefully and have like people accept basic needs, people get job, young people got job. So that's how I see Africa.
Right.
I see Africa where everyone has access to healthcare, where mothers are not dying because of not accessing healthcare when they are giving birth. I see an Africa where there's unity and peace.
Yeah, and for you, really, I can tell that a lot of your heart is towards women and children, and more so within the medical field, because you've mentioned that you'd want to see medical services free, right? Is this something that you've always had, because it has also inspired what you are studying in university?
It's a dream since I'm a little girl, as I have seen so many women dying, as we see so many women, so many unsafe abortion among young girls. So I want to address that issue. I want to tell them that they have a life, they can be successful in life, they can achieve whatever they want. They have power.
Right.
Yes.
So Nicholas, how do we begin to solve the problem of xenophobia that we have here in the African continent to achieve unity?
Unity, okay. First, as an African young leader, I think there are so many things that we can do. In terms of achieving unity, I think the problem we have in Africa is leadership. And the leadership in Africa, in most instances, has not been able to unite both the aged and the young people, where young people see the old as those who want to remain in power forever, or to remain in leadership forever. So as a continent, or as leadership of Africa, we really need to empower young people. We also need to embrace diversity. We accept people from all races, irrespective of what they believe in or what they practice. And again, in terms of employment opportunities, we need to be fair to everyone. And what I mean is that, like in our country, the unemployment rate is too high. And that is something that holds us back as a nation. We need to address that as well. So basically, empowerment is a very important tool in creating unity in Africa. And also the aspects of addressing the gaps we have, such as the gender parity issue. Yes, there are things that we really need to address.
We need to close those gaps.
Diversity matters. Humanity comes first.
Yeah. All right, Nazreen, I'll let you have the last say. Being one of the trainers under the Yali Fellowship and having to work with so many young Africans across the continent, what is it that perhaps we're doing wrong as young leaders that we can start to do right?
Wow. So I think the first part of that is we need to build the skills that are necessary to be effective. I think the hallmark of a good leader is someone who has a compelling vision, really has a compelling vision. And then the second part of that is the ability to execute that vision. I think, it's one thing to have a grand vision, but really what makes an effective leader is to execute that vision. And I think we need to build those skills. We need to do a better job of building those skills so that we can come up with creative ways of solving problems, complex problems. And that's what we do at Yali.
Do you think that young leaders and the African continent can be different from the older generation?
Absolutely.
Wow.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. I think what I see in the people that come to Yali is there is such a passion and such a drive to make a positive change. You've just heard that right here. There's such a passion and a commitment to making that positive change.
Wow.
So I really believe that this is the future.
Collis, Nicholas, and Nazreen, thank you so much for both of you, all three of you, for coming and being part of this conversation and sharing your stories as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, we want to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, we'll tell you a story of stolen wheels. What's that all about? I'll tell you about it when we come back. Stay with Little Express.